From the headquarters of Telesur English in Quito, Ecuador, I am Estefania Bravo, and this is From the South. Mexico elected left-wing candidate Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador as the next president in a historic election. Lopez Obrador won over 53% of the votes, according to the latest figures by the National Electoral Institute. The candidate remained 30 points ahead from his closest rival, conservative Ricardo Anaya, who won about 22% of the votes. Coming in third, José Antonio Meade from the ruling Institutional Revolutionary Party took close to 16% of the votes, and independent candidate Jaime Rodríguez Calderón won just 5% of the vote. 55 million people casted their vote, the second largest turnout since the 1994 election. This is the first time in over 80 years that Mexico will have a president who does not belong to either the Institutional Revolutionary Party nor the National Action Party. Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador said he will seek reconciliation among all Mexicans during his term. Lopez Obrador vowed to hound corruption and impunity and to build a new era in Mexico's history. He also promised to pursue a friendly relationship with the U.S. and to cooperate with his key trading partner. The 64-year-old will become the first left-wing candidate to take power in decades in Mexico, Latin America's second largest economy.
The revolution of conscience triumphed. The transition will happen with harmony. It will happen in an orderly, peaceful manner. From the first day of our government, we will start to fulfill our commitments.
Thousands of supporters for Lopez Obrador gathered at the emblematic Zócalo Square in Mexico City to celebrate Lopez Obrador's win. As candidate, he successfully tapped into voters' outrage over a series of corruption scandals and the horrific violence that left a record of 25,000 murders last year. The winning candidate promised to establish the government with a social approach. According to the polls, Lopez Obrador's coalition will also have a majority in the lower house and possibly in the Senate.
This victory is for the new generations and for the many people who have been waiting for something like this for many years.
For all Mexicans living in isolated poor communities, for those in terrible need that the other parties never saw, for those Mexicans who have never seen history being made, it's a special day, it's a holiday.
The other three candidates acknowledged their defeat and wished Lopez Obrador the best for his upcoming term. He beat his opponents by a large margin and is expected to break with the establishment set by the two traditional parties for decades.
I said on the phone when I spoke to Lopez Obrador just a few minutes ago, I recognized his victory. I gave him my congratulations and I wished him success for the well-being of Mexico.
I wish the new government a lot of success for the good of our country, which deserves a responsible government.
After Election Day, outgoing Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto praised the country's democracy. He congratulated the people and the candidates on exercising of their democratic rights. Peña Nieto said that transition of power will be organized and efficient.
I acknowledge each and every candidate that participated in this electoral process. Your efforts are proof of a clear will to contribute to the development of Mexico, and it confirms the vitality of our democracy.
U.S. President Donald Trump congratulated Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador on his election. On a Twitter message, Trump said there is much to be done to benefit both countries. Relations between Mexico and the U.S. have turned tense as the U.S. implemented tougher immigration policies in the southern border. Both countries have also tried to find an agreement on trade amidst Trump's protectionist stand. Other political leaders also celebrated the election. Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro said López Obrador's victory is one of sovereignty and friendship for Latin American people. The president of Bolivia, Evo Morales, said he is positive that the new Mexican government will defend the dignity of the region. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez congratulated the Mexican people and said that a new era of hope has started in the country. The outcome in Mexico City was also historical, as the capital elected a woman for mayor for the first time. Claudia Sheinbaum, a Jewish scientist, environmentalist, and left-wing politician, won the election with 50% of the votes, according to the polling firm Mitofsky. Sheinbaum's win is a historic in a country with deep-rooted problems of gender inequality and violence against women. Another woman, Rosario Robles, already served as interim mayor from 1999 to 2000. Earlier, we spoke with Christy Thornton, an international observer who monitored the elections. After wrapping up the day, this is what she had to say.
Will happen over the next couple of days, and we'll know whether for the first time Mexicans have elected this brand new party, Morena, as the candidate Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. This will be the first time that there has been a left opposition candidate in the presidency in Mexico in its democratic history. So this would be a very big deal, not only for Mexico, but for the rest of the region.
Since the beginning of the electoral process, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador was the favorite to win the election on July 1st. Let's learn more about the new president-elect.
Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador has made 3 attempts at the presidency of Mexico, this time with the coalition Juntos Haremos Historia, which is a coalition, the Morena, Labor, and Social Encounter parties.
This time we're going all the way to the presidential palace. I think so because people want a real change.
In the year 2000, El Peje, as he is also known, was elected to the government of Mexico City. 4 years later, he had to defend himself in a legal process that was opened up over his refusal to expropriate a venue located in the eastern part of the city.
I am certain that I'm not being judged for violating the law, but for my way of thinking and acting, and what that could represent for the future of this country.
With strong popular support, he participated in the presidential elections in 2006, but he didn't make it to Los Pinos. Thousands took the Zócalo and the streets of the capital to demand a recount of the votes. This was one of the most questioned elections in the history of Mexico. He has traveled all over Mexico. One of his key policies has been the defense of the country's natural resources. This is why he led the movement against the privatization of the oil industry.
The plunder of oil will create an environment of discontent.
After losing the 2012 elections, he starts the national regeneration political movement, Morena.
All the people are with him.
Poor people first has been the permanent slogan of the man, born in Tabasco 65 years ago.
We are going to help the poor more than any other. I'm not hiding it. For the common good, but the poor come first, but also the middle class.
In the electoral campaign of 2018, his proposals focusing on social issues have a marked difference compared to his contenders. The conservative Ricardo Anaya and ruling party candidate José Antonio Meade, who want to continue with a neoliberal model.
What we are seeing is a similar proposal, in tune with the privileged class in Mexico.
López Obrador is also proposing a different model to counter the violence that affects the country, and it has led to 250,000 murders according to non-governmental organizations.
We have to restore our society, rebuild families, schools, social organizations, unions, and the government.
López Obrador has promised to fight corruption and revise all the contracts that the current government has signed with the private sector, especially in the areas of energy and the construction of Mexico City's new airport. Since the beginning of the electoral process, the favorite candidate across all polls has faced constant opposition from big businesses, and many here in Mexico see that as a good thing.
We'll be back very soon. Stay with us.
When someone looks at me, the bias would be to not take me seriously until I open my mouth.
Welcome back. The approval rating of Peruvian President Martín Vizcarra continues to drop, falling to 29% in June. Vizcarra's approval rating has fallen 18 points since May, according to a survey by polling agency JFK that was published in the local newspaper La República. 22% of Peruvians consider that Vizcarra is doing a worse job than former President Pedro Pablo Kuczynski, who resigned last March, and only 15% of citizens approve of the work done by Vizcarra's cabinet. Former Ecuadorian President Rafael Correa was formally accused of planning the kidnapping of former Assembly member Fernando Valda in 2012 and will have to appear in court on Monday. The prosecution could ask Judge Daniela Camacho to take Correa into temporary custody if the former president doesn't comply with the court's order. For his part, Correa said in a recent interview that he has considered not appearing in court due to family issues he has to take care of. 2 weeks ago, the National Court Justice ordered the former president to appear in court every 15 days, even though he has lived in Belgium for a year now. Pope Francis once again called for the end of violence in Nicaragua during his weekly prayer. The pontiff said he will continue to pray for the people of Nicaragua, and he praised the efforts made by the bishops of the country and others for their mediation role in the process of national dialogue.
Dear brothers and sisters, I renew my prayer for the beloved people of Nicaragua, and I would like to join the efforts made by the Bishop of Nicaragua and many people of goodwill in the role of mediation and witness for the ongoing process of national dialogue on the road to democracy.
Until April 18th, Nicaragua was recognized as one of the safest countries in Latin America, a peaceful atmosphere that was broken after the protests against Daniel Ortega's governments began.
The civil war left deep scars on this land of lakes and volcanoes. The road to peace was hard, but that peace lasted for 30 years and fell apart during these 3 months of protests. However, the immense majority of Nicaraguan people want their peace back.
Some local communities are already organizing and giving an eloquent response to the violence. They should be an example at the national level. Members of national dialogue should follow their example. This is mainly a matter of political will.
During recent last days, the violence seems to have decreased, but when the night comes, tension returns to the cities. In this neighborhood of Managua, citizens have created their own patrols to guarantee safety. They use whistles to raise the alarm.
We have suffered several attacks, assaults, robberies. Criminals feel that they are free to attack because of the atmosphere that has been created. We as citizens want to bring back normality. We want to restore our constitutional right to peace, happiness, and our community development.
More and more citizens are joining this initiative as they know that peace is a collective responsibility. The Nicaraguan police is also working to bring back security and stability for Nicaraguans.
We faced maras from El Salvador. Since then, we realized that criminal groups have come from abroad. They have no shame in taking our comrades, burning and torturing them. We believe right-wing groups are using these criminals. I call on all Nicaraguan citizens to stay united and to wake up and face this tragedy. We have been cheated. Some media are reporting fake news and spreading the violence.
The Citizen Security Patrol keeps on alert. Meanwhile, the Nicaraguan government maintains its offer of dialogue as the only possible way to bring back peace and stability.
The LGBTI community in Nicaragua chose the new Miss Gay 2018-2019. Trans women vyed for the crown in an event that promoted LGBTI visibility and rights, and also urged for the end of discrimination. Participants also called for an end to violence violence in the country that has left 174 people dead, according to the Truth, Justice, and Peace Commission. Gay Pride celebrations continued in various Latin American countries over the weekend. Thousands took part in gay pride parades in capital cities San Jose in Costa Rica and in Asunción, Paraguay. Streets were bathed in colors as music and dance spread to celebrate sexual diversity, but it was also an occasion to demand LGBTI rights and the end of discrimination. Latin America is still a dangerous region for LGBTI people who still suffer from marginalization and economic exclusion. In Ecuador, thousands also turned out for gay pride celebrations on Saturday. For one couple, the day held a more special meaning. Last month, Ecuador's Constitutional Court voted in favor of allowing a female sex couple to list both their names of their children's birth certificates. It was the end of a 6-year battle for Satya, who is the daughter of Nicole Rothman and Hela Bicknell, two British women living in Ecuador who are in a civil union and conceived their child through artificial insemination.
With everyone, we're really happy for the sentence that we received, that we can register the children with 2 of our names, and we're happy to be here celebrating today.
Yeah, we're really happy to be here with thousands of people in Quito celebrating this really great day for the whole of our family and for Ecuador.
The Central American System of Integration, SICA, has been meeting in the Dominican Republic. At the top of the agenda was the United States policy on immigration and the crisis in Nicaragua.
The 50th meeting of SICA ended with the presence of 8 member countries. The General Secretary of SICA said the conflicts in Nicaragua and immigration in Central America have to be resolved on the basis of respecting human rights.
We have to insist on an inclusive development process that's fair for everyone and that gives them the opportunity to take care of their families. Another important thing is to ask the U.S. government to treat us like human beings and not like a security problem.
The meeting discussed migration, foreign trade, and integration, the dialogue between public and private sectors, and the violence in Nicaragua.
We think that what we are asking from the U.S. government and what they have suggested to us will make things better. They recommend we carry out awareness campaigns among our people, and we recommend that they think about a complete immigration reform.
The Dominican president, Danilo Medina, warned of the region's vulnerability to climate change and handed over the presidency of the group to Belize.
For me, it is an honor to return the presidency of SICA to our brothers from Belize. We are very sorry that Prime Minister Jim Barrow couldn't be here with us because of health issues, but we know that SICA is in good hands.
At the end of the meeting, members discussed possible solutions to the crisis in Nicaragua.
The united position of our group, contained in the declaration we are publishing, is that Nicaragua needs an open dialogue with all sectors of society to resolve its crisis. The government has accepted that the dialogue can touch on any issue brought up by the opposition, as long as this is through dialogue and not force.
During the meeting, the member countries agreed to draw up a proposal to improve relations with foreign actors, to improve communication with its citizens, and to develop a plan to evaluate the causes and consequences of migration.
Police has said a tour boat with 12 people on board exploded off the coast of Exuma in the Bahamas on Saturday. One person was killed and at least 9 others were hurt. Officials said 10 passengers were from the U.S. There's no word yet on what caused the explosion. It's been a busy weekend for the Coast Guard. After almost a day of searching, they found a Norwegian cruise line crew member alive off the coast of Cuba who fell overboard a day earlier. Let's take a look at today's games as the round of 16 continues. Brazil will play Mexico in the city of Samara. Later, Belgium will try to qualify for the next round, facing Japan. And thousands of Croatian football fans celebrated their national team's victory over Denmark during the round of 16 at the FIFA World Cup on Sunday. Croatia beat Denmark in the penalty shootout stage to reach the quarterfinals. Fans in particular cheered for goalkeeper Daniel Subasic, who saved 3 goals during the penalty shootout. Croatia will next face host team Russia. We'll take a short break now, but join us again after this look at what our multimedia colleagues are reporting. Welcome back. Police in Turkish capital Istanbul used tear gas and rubber bullets on LGBTI activists participating in a peaceful march on Sunday. Activists organized pride events in small groups since the authorities have banned the annual Pride March. Police violently dispersed a crowd of hundreds of LGBTI supporters as they marched through the city. It's the 4th consecutive year the Turkish governor has banned the event. In Spain, protesters took to the streets in capital city Madrid on Sunday to call for the repeal of the citizen security law known as the gag law. Protesters, mainly from the organization Artists of Freedom of Speech, held a performance on the occasion of the law's 3rd anniversary. The gag law fines citizens who take part in unauthorized demonstration with amounts that can reach up to $700,000. The law has also banned people from filming police officers, with those prosecuted potentially facing fines of more than $36,000. The new socialist cabinet is expected to promote its abolition. A gangster in France escaped jail in a helicopter. Here's more on that and other stories making headlines from around the world.
French police have launched a massive countrywide manhunt for a gangster who escaped jail by hijacking a helicopter in Rouen, southeast of Paris. 46-year-old Redon Fay broke out of prison with the help of 2 heavily armed accomplices who hijacked a helicopter for him. Fay was serving a 25-year sentence for a failed robbery. This is the 2nd time he has escaped. In 2013, he blasted his way out of a prison in northern France using dynamite.
It was a very unusual escape that obviously required a very well-prepared commando, since there was a helicopter, 3 people, plus an instructor who was taken hostage.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres met with Rohingyas refugees in Bangladesh. Last year, over 600,000 Rohingyas were forced to leave their homes in Myanmar, escaping violence after what the UN describes as ethnic cleansing. Guterres said Rohingya are one of the most discriminated against and vulnerable communities on earth. In the latest spate of mob lynching in India, 5 men were beaten to death in the town of Dhule. Since May, at least 25 people have been killed in the country on suspicion of being child kidnappers or thieves after rumors were spread through messaging app WhatsApp. The authorities have launched public awareness campaigns to stop the horrific lynchings, but so far have been unsuccessful.
More than a dozen ethnic communities in Loyangalani in northern Kenya participated in Lake Turkana Culture Festival to showcase their culture. This is the 11th edition of the festival, which also aims to promote tourism and enhance ties between the tribes. The communities take this opportunity to unite despite their differences. And before we end our show, remember you can watch our special World Cup program with Argentine football star Diego Armando Maradona. De la mano del 10, the World Cup, according to Maradona, will air only on Telesur every night during the tournament in Russia. These are the times to watch it, so be sure to tune in. And we've come to the end of this news brief. These and many other stories, you can find them on our website at telesurtv.net/English. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Telesur English, I'm Estefania Bravo. Thank you for watching.